my shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great.
Hello, BYWG Podcast Tribe. This is Dr. Noah. For the month of October, we have an awesome book of the month and product of the month that I'm incredibly excited to share with you all. As a reminder, all the links for the book and product of the month will be listed in the show notes, in iTunes, in our weekly newsletters, and on our website at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com at the Listen Now tab. Our book of the month is The Hidden Cause of Acne: How Toxic Water is Affecting Your Life and What You Can Do About It by Melissa Matecki. I just had the incredible opportunity to interview Melissa on the podcast, and you can find this interview at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com or on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. The product of the month is Energy Bits. Energy Bits are 100% organic spirulina and or chlorella algae that are paleo, vegan, keto, and non-GMO. I've been taking them as well as my family for nearly a month, and I personally enjoy the extra added boost in nutrition and energy they provide. You can hear me interview the CEO and founder as well this month on the podcast as well. More information can be found at www.energybits.com. That's ENERGYBITS.com, and get 20% forever using the code BYWG, or capital B, capital Y, capital W, capital G. Enjoy the upcoming podcast. Hello and welcome back to Beyond Your Wildest Genes podcast. My name is Dr. Noah DeCoyer, and I am your co-host. About a month ago or so, I got an email out of the blue from someone named Melissa Matecki wanting to interview me. Not 100% sure why. No, I'm kidding. But she's created a great summit, a summit called Healthy Kids the Easy Way. And I was interviewed for her summit, and I thought it would be great to have her on the podcast. So here's Melissa. Melissa, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on, Dr. Noah.
My pleasure. So I'm going to do your bio, and then we're going to go right in. We're going to dive right into the questions. Melissa is a speaker, teacher, and researcher, is a certified holistic health coach who is passionate about saving the health of today's children and making family life easier and more enjoyable for the whole family. She's the host of the upcoming Healthy Kids the Easy Way Summit, having become a fierce advocate for children's health after having helped her own son overcome a challenging condition, and is also a co-researcher for a supplement for children with special needs. She also specializes in women's health with a slant towards autoimmune illness, and loves to help women find their health and their best life after she found her way to recovery after a lifetime of chronic illness. She's an entrepreneurial Australian who lives in Alaska. Did you guys hear that? Australian living in Alaska, happily married, and the mother of 2 little boys. Again, how are you, Melissa?
I am just great. It's a beautiful day here in Alaska, so I'm feeling fine. Thank you.
So what does a beautiful day in Alaska mean?
It means it's not pouring rain and blowing a gale.
All right. So first things first, a little bit about you, your backstory. How does an Australian end up in Alaska? A little bit about your family and specifically your son, and why you decided to host an online summit.
Okay, that's a lot of questions all at once. Let's see if I can start. All right, so your first question, how I ended up in Alaska. Well, I've always, as an Australian, most Australians love traveling, and when we travel, we have to go for quite a while because, it's a big island and it's a long way to anywhere. So I'd always been fascinated with Alaska, and I had a crush on this guy since I was 18, and he happened to be living in Alaska. So one day when I was about 26 years old, I went and visited him and never left, we could say. It was just, the place just caught my heart. It's amazing here. So that was your first question. What was the second question?
A little bit about your backstory. Who are you? Health-wise, you mentioned in your bio that you had some health challenges. What's your backstory?
Yeah, well, ever since I was a child, I had these mystery conditions, and we never knew what they were. I went to specialist after specialist, and they just would kind of, shrug their shoulders at me. But even as a really young child, I just knew my body wasn't working right. So it couldn't do the same things that everybody else's body did. And it was just very, very frustrating sort of going through the medical system. Essentially, I'd always gotten the impression that I must be a hypochondriac, right? That was sort of the unspoken word that I would get from either doctors or specialists, because I was thin, and people just have this sort of stereotype that if you're thin, you're healthy, or if you're overweight, you're unhealthy. So they just never wanted to look any further. And certainly as I got older, I started eating right, and I started learning that there was all sorts of things that I could do to improve my health. So I ate right, I looked after myself, all of this sort of stuff. And then, but I would still keep going to doctors saying, what's the problem? What's going on here? And they're like, well, you look after yourself and you're thin, you must be a hypochondriac. So I just never really got anywhere. And it was just very frustrating because I had to put so much time and effort into looking after myself just to be able to do the same things that everybody else did. So it wasn't really until I had kids, and this was after years of infertility, too. It was actually acupuncture that seemed to do the trick with getting us pregnant. And my first son was born with a rare condition, and we sort of suspected that for a long time, but he wasn't actually diagnosed until 3 days after the birth of my second son, which was just a terrible time for bad news. And so that just really spiraled things. The stress of that diagnosis, which was not given in a kind way. It was sort of, just here's some medical papers with a really long list of all the things that are going to be wrong with your son forever. Absolute parent nightmare, right? I mean, what does everybody say? We want our children to be healthy. So when the doctors actually give you, medical journal stuff with paragraph after paragraph listing everything that your child's going to struggle with, it's absolutely devastating. So my health was always under pressure anyhow, but after that news and after the birth of my second child, it just really, really took its toll, and I just went downhill so fast. I'm doing all the research I could to help my child, and my husband and I were just putting in tremendous amounts of efforts into alternative therapies and helping him and doing everything we could. But I just found that I was going down this really just abrupt slope. I was waking up in extreme pain, just getting out of bed feeling like I was 80 years old in the morning. 13 steps in my house. Like, you don't often count your stairs, but you do when you have a lot of trouble getting up them and you have to stop at the top. It's just in excruciating pain. And then still at this point, the doctors are like, well, you eat well and you're thin, so you must be okay. And I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm dying. The kids come home with a sniffly nose and they'd be over it in half a day, and I would be down for 3 weeks. It was just terrible. And of course I was feeling anxious and then depressed as well. My husband didn't know what was wrong with me. He's like, what's going on here? And I'm like, I don't know. So it was just really, really harsh. And it was I had a real wake-up morning today. And I was like, I'm not going to live to see my kids start school. I can just, even though I'd never gotten the validation from the medical system that there's anything wrong with me, I could just see that my health was just getting worse and worse. It was like this downward trajectory. And I'm like, if it keeps going at this rate, I'm going to be dead in 5 years. What's the deal? And so I just, still not knowing what was wrong, I got a sauna. I just abruptly changed to a completely anti-inflammatory diet, did, candida cleanses, parasite cleanses, all the rest, and actually got my health back. I started to feel decent for the first time in my life. And so then after that, I just was off and running. We moved back to Alaska after that. And I had a best friend here that, I'd lived in Alaska before. We'd moved to New Zealand and we moved back to Alaska after that. So we'd lived in Alaska previously. But my best friend in Alaska, she had always had the same sort of mystery health problems as I did. So we were always doing cleanses and, experimenting with health and trying to figure out ways of making us feel better. But like me, she'd never gotten a diagnosis. We didn't know what was wrong. We just knew that for some reason our bodies just did strange things. So, but when I came back to Alaska, I discovered she had cancer. And so she was really struggling through that. And unfortunately, even though through alternative treatments and natural health stuff, she lived a lot longer than what the doctors predicted, she did pass away. So after that and after everything that I'd learned, I just realized that you never know how long you've got on this planet, and And just health is so important, because health is really the only real wealth in this life. And without that, you don't have quality of life. You don't, and you might not even actually have your life. So that's when I decided I would get trained formally in the health field, and dedicate my life to that, and dedicate my life to helping kids be healthier.
Wow, that's a great, empowering story. Now, and you're healthy now, right? Vibrant, energetic, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely in the best health of my life with diet and lifestyle measures. I certainly got myself to a point when I was thriving and feeling great. And then this year I've also been seeing a functional medicine doctor, because I'm like, all right, we need to get to that root cause, because even with my health knowledge and everything else I'm doing, there was still something there. And so it's been absolutely wonderful working within that functional health model, just looking at root causes. And so we've really found some root causes, and we're teasing them apart. And yes, every day I'm feeling better and better, even on top of what I was before. So it's fantastic. It's like life has just started, you know. I don't have to wrestle with all the health things that I always had to. So really, health is just the greatest gift, and there's just no two ways about that.
I couldn't agree more. Now, at what point through this entire journey did you say, I'd like to host an online summit?
Oh, well, that was somewhere in my health coach training. And the training is just fantastic. It's so enlightening, inspiring, and wonderful. I studied through IIN, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and it's just absolutely brilliant, wonderful course. And there was a lecture actually by Dr. Joel Fuhrman, who is just a fantastic doctor researcher. And he made the comment of early childhood diets. Let me see if I can get this exactly right, if I'm going to quote him. Childhood diets create adult cancers. And basically what he was saying, I'm afraid I don't want to misquote him, but that the diet that you have early in life basically sets up your disease risk for the rest of your life. And knowing how much I struggled as a child and continued to struggle as an adult, and how my best friend, the path that she went down, I just couldn't stop at that. That quote just sort of stopped everything for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it's the way that we can reduce cancer in adults and reduce ill health in adults, because it's not just cancer. If something goes wrong, there's autoimmune disease, there's diabetes, there's autism, all of these things are skyrocketing. If we can just set kids up with better health, they don't need to suffer for their whole life. And people who are living their best life in full energy and full vibrance, they're sharing good energy with the world. They're doing good things in the world. And to me, that's really what we need to do right now to save the planet, is to have people in their optimum state doing their best that they can for the world. And so essentially that's what inspired me. I was like, right, we've got to get this information to parents, because so many parents are like, oh, it doesn't matter what they eat as a child, right? They bounce back. But it's not true. You really are setting up their health for the rest of their life. And so early childhood diets in particular are just so crucially important. And once I heard that, I couldn't rest.
And you chose the title, Healthy Kids the Easy Way. Why did you choose that title? Well,
because I hear a lot. I talk to a lot of parents, like, I remember talking to a mother whose child had ADD, and I was like, we can, this is even before I was trained as a health coach, but I'm like, there's dietary things, there's some fantastic dietary changes that can really help your child. And she said, oh, look, it's just too hard. I really just want a pill. And so I kept on hearing that parents saying, I'd love my kids to be healthy, but it's too hard. Quite honestly, it's hard enough as a parent just getting through the day, having your kids fed and clean and doing their homework. And I certainly get that. I totally appreciate that. So just really, there's this real idea out there that health is hard, and probably that the food's not going to be delicious. You're going to have to force your kids to sit there and boil broccoli. Just made me realize that was a huge block for a lot of parents. So I just really wanted to help parents by showing them that health could be really easy and really fun and enhance the life of your whole family. It doesn't have to be complex, but by taking certain health steps, you improve the health of your children, you improve the health of you as a parent, and the whole family thrives, and life just gets better. So.
Yeah, I love the title, and I couldn't agree with you more. Things need to be boiled down, simplified, and to make it easier for people to be healthy, because to be healthy, it's really not that difficult. It just takes some knowledge, some stick-to-itness, and to be focused and to really want to be healthy. And I really love your title, and I applaud you for doing all the work you're doing, because it's hard work. I've been there. I've hosted 2 summits. I know what it takes. I know how hard it is to put these things together and to promote it and to get your message out. So I really applaud you for the work you're doing. Now I think I want to say there's 21 interviews. I could be wrong. You don't have to list everybody, but who are some of the people that you interviewed, and what were some of the topics that you're going to go over when the summit's released on October 15th?
Okay, where's my list? Radio. Well, we've got Dr. Joel Furman on, which has been fantastic. So I just love his research, and I think we're going to start the summit with that, which might scare some parents because it can be really confronting to be hit with that research. But it's also empowering, and that's just what I want to emphasize for parents. Yes, there's some serious consequences for not giving your child the right foundation in life, but the empowering part is that it's actually not that hard to do it. And so by taking certain steps, you really can set them up for great health in life. So we start off, and Dr. Joel's going to give us that sort of research. We've got Reed Davis from Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, and he'll break it down further into a few more steps that parents can just take that makes everything. He's a system and a lens for looking at things too, and he just gives a really great system that parents can use to make health and understanding health a lot easier. We've got we've got a whole list of people. We're dealing with we're talking about obesity and how to deal with obesity in a gentle and kind way that's genuinely healing and helpful. There's another doctor talking about mood disorders and how we can treat those naturally. We've got a whole bunch of nutritionists and recipe bloggers who are just talking about meal planning and how to do that more easily, healthy lunches, healthy dinners, healthy, and essentially how to do this without spending all day in the kitchen. Lots of meal alternatives, like if your kid is just like really focused on like goldfish crackers, for instance, and macaroni and cheese or pizza, how we change them over. How do we make those changes? How do we make them easy? So I just really tried to look at all the issues that parents were trying to face with getting their kids healthier, and trying to find ways of an expert who could show them hints and tips and things like that to make it easier. And then there's a whole, and then there's a lot of peripheral things. There's a few things like just some therapies and some alternative perspectives and things like that that just might help to flesh it out. And also we do a little bit on parent care as well, because it's hard to take care of the health of your kids if you're not healthy yourself. So as a parent, you really need to take care of yourself and manage your own stress. We have a great interview on anger, because a lot of parents really struggle with like that snap kind of anger that you get as a parent, but they're ashamed to admit it. So we talk about that and what are some of the health reasons behind that and how we can manage that so we can be the best parent that we want to be.
Yeah, that last interview sounds interesting to me, because I find myself with my kids getting frustrated and certainly getting angry, and that's something that I would like to have better control over personally, for sure.
Yeah, no, it is a struggle, and so many people just don't want to talk about it because they're like, oh my goodness, is there something wrong with me? Is there, are my children going to be taken away if I admit this to someone? I don't even know where to get help from. So it's just things like that, learning how to manage ourselves as parents and where this is coming from and what the causes are, so then we can learn to manage it more effectively. Yeah, absolutely. There's an interview on that, Dr. Noah.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm looking forward to that one. Now, 1, 2, maybe 3, like really big pearls of wisdom, something that you'd like to share, like a teaser. I don't know, something from 1 or 2 or more of the interviews that really really got you thinking, that really you want to bring to light. Any kind of little pearls of wisdom that you might have gleaned from all these interviews you've done.
Oh my goodness. I have to say there's so many that that they're all like jumbled in my head right now. So that's why when we actually do the summit, we've actually got a Facebook group as well. And after each interview, we're going to get together in the Facebook group and just discuss the interview, discuss the takeaways. I really want this to be like a real learning experience, more like a workshop than just a static summit. So I'll be online there on Facebook, either doing Facebook Lives or just answering questions. And if I can't answer the questions, I'll certainly go back to the experts and ask. And just really just trying to make that wisdom just really practical and help people to integrate that in their daily life. As I am a coach, that's what we do. We don't just give out information. We help people to make those lifestyle changes. And so afterwards we'll have that Facebook group. We'll be looking at all the takeaways from each interview, what it means to you, which ones do you want to take on, which ones do you not want to take on, and how to make that active. And there's some fantastic interviews of things like, gut healing. You talk about sleep and just give some amazing takeaways about sleep. We're also covering EMFs, which is just such a difficult topic for a lot of people. And I know that's a topic that totally was over my head. I'd heard about it. I was worried about it, but, you can't see EMFs. So, they're easy to ignore. There's that. There's a whole bunch of things like with how you can help your schools to actually get healthier food. So not just help your own family, but help the community around you and just to get some really fantastic resources to help you do that. So healthy cleaning products is another one. There's just, I don't know, there's a whole bunch of just great interviews. The interviews are only about half an hour to 40 minutes long, so really short, sweet, with action steps that parents can take and just, take and run with and start making changes right away.
Now, was I the only chiropractor that you interviewed?
No, I interviewed Dr. Megan Burst. She's a chiropractor, and also Dr. Jess Armine. He's a chiropractor as well. Your chiropractors are just fantastic. I always thought chiropractic was just about cracking bones, but it's actually not. You have such a comprehensive, holistic, broad health view. I mean, I've just become a real devotee of chiropractic now. It's just amazing what you guys study and the depth that you actually study it.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only chiropractor. That's fantastic news for me. Let me see if there's any other questions. Now, during this summit, I think this is a little bit different than most summits that people are used to listening to. You're only releasing one interview a day. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. There'll be one interview a day. Like I said, it's a short interview. The idea is that busy parents, because which parent is not busy, right, can fit this into their busy days. So a half-hour interview anyone can do, even if you just listen to it while you're doing the dishes or folding the washing or whatever you're doing. It's really, really easy to listen to. Just simple steps. If you get too much information at once, often that can just overwhelm you. It sounds great at the time, but your brain only processes a few things at a time. So then you go away at the end of the day and you forget it all the next day. So the idea is to keep everything really short and sweet, with strong takeaways that parents can implement immediately. So the interviews are short enough to listen to. You've got that time to really soak it up, listen to it. Like I said, afterwards we'll be in the Facebook group if you want to reinforce that learning by discussing it, tossing around ideas. How can I put this into my life? That sort of support will be there. So it's like a summit with support. So it's more like a workshop, really.
Yeah, I love that idea because, a lot of these summits you get 3 interviews, sometimes 4 interviews, sometimes 5 interviews in a day. There's no way you can listen to all of them, and it's just overwhelming. So I applaud you by spreading this summit out over about a 3-week period so people can absorb and utilize and learn the information at a deeper and more involved level. So good for you.
No, thank you. That's great.
Now, the summit, I think we mentioned it, but the summit's free. The links will be in our show notes and whatever else we put out when we release this interview. All people have to do is put their email in, and they'll start getting correspondence from you pretty much immediately, correct? Yeah,
if they go to healthykidstheeasyway.com, and sign up there. That's where you sign up. You'll get a welcome email that tells you about the structure of the summit. There'll be an invitation that if you like, you can join the Facebook group. And then when the summit actually starts, which is on the 15th of October, Monday the 15th of October, then they'll start to get daily emails. And if you sign up a little bit later, that's just totally fine. We'll have a couple of days at the end where you can catch up on some of the interviews that you've missed if you did. So, yeah, no problem. And
what are your plans for the future after the summit's done and they've digested it? You're sitting around. You're like, oof. You're done. Finished summit. All the days are done. A lot of the questions are petering out. What do you see for in the future for you and for this new found group that you've created?
I'm tossing those ideas around right now. I definitely would like to do another summit in the future, just to deepen and increase this knowledge. Whilst I did this summit, I realised you can't fit everything in, even with one summit. There's still so much to learn. So I really want to continue, create a community that continues learning. So we'll have that community, we'll have that safe space for parents where you can come and just learn. And it doesn't matter where you are. If you've been a crunchy parent for a long time or you're just starting out in the world of health, I just want to create that really safe space where parents can go to learn, to ask questions, and where it's okay. It's okay if you're still struggling with what's a healthier alternative to Pop-Tarts, because really it's the progression, it's the changes you make that are really important. It's not where you're at right now. It's where you're going. So, yeah, definitely keep the community going. I'd love to do another summit maybe next year. And at the moment, I'm just sort of tossing up if I'm going to take up some functional medicine training as a coach, because I love the functional medicine model. And so, yeah, just trying to figure out where career-wise I'm going to go. But I love studying. I love training, so I'll definitely be doing some more of that. And I'll definitely keep on sharing information, so no worries about that.
So I have two final questions. One, any last words? And two, a question that I ask every one of our guests, from wake to sleep, what is your daily rhythm like?
From wake to sleep, all right, I'll start with that. I like to get up really early because that's the quietest. Well, the summit actually taught me this, because the only way I could get all the work done with the summit was to get up really early before my kids got up and have that uninterrupted, just quiet time in the morning to work. So this summit converted me from being a night owl to being a morning person. So yeah, I get up, I work for a couple of hours, then my kids get up, so I pull out their lunch boxes, which we actually talk about the lunch boxes in the summit because they're so brilliant and it just helps me so much. So I get out their lunch boxes, I just get out all the fruits and veggies that we've got in the fridge, I put stuff in their lunch box, I make a salad for me and for my husband for either lunch or dinner, sort of essentially get dinner on the road, and then the kids are out the door at 8 o'clock, but I've gotten, a whole bunch of our food made for the day, which is just a real time-saving technique for me. Then I get stuck into work. I'm a just like a lot of people, so I work from home and get as much work as I can done before my kids finish school. Then we go out for a walk, we do some exercise, ride bikes, do all of that sort of stuff, work on some homework, and have a nice healthy dinner and go to bed early. And basically that's it, but I enjoy it. It's great.
And any last final words?
Oh yes, last final words. I would just encourage people that if you're on the fence about health and you're just not sure, just give it a chance. Just have a listen, just toss the ideas around, sort of think, well, just give it a chance. Try some little steps. See if they help you feel better. And also, if you know other people who are struggling with health, reach out to them. Let them know of this summit. Let them know of your fantastic work. Spreading the word about health is so important, and you never know when it might just be the answer that someone who's been struggling for a whole lifetime might be helped, like myself. It's just that one thing that sort of brings it all together, and then they can actually find a life of thriving. So I say it's so important to share health info, and if anyone wants to share this summit, I would be just so happy because it's free, so it's only shared by word of mouth. So reach out, help the people around you, help the parents who might be struggling, help the kids around you, and just do your little part. If we all work together, we'll have a much better world.
Well said. like I said prior, all the appropriate links will be in our show notes. Thank you so very much for letting me interview you, Melissa, and for interviewing me. I had a great time during our interview for your summit. My name is Dr. Noah DeCoyer, your co-host, and you're listening to the Beyond Your Wildest Dreams podcast. If you like what you've heard today, please share this with your friends and family and encourage them to subscribe on iTunes. Better yet, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please give us a 5-star rating. It helps more people hear this valuable information. You can sign up at our incredible weekly email at www.beyondyourwildestdreams.com. Thank you, and as my oldest son Hayden says, be awesome and never unawesome.
One, two, three, four, get my shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling